My beloved child, there is something more dangerous than trials, more powerful than failure. It is a small thought that you don't even realize is leading you away from the purpose I have for you. It doesn't shout, it whispers. But it's that very silence that causes you to accept it as part of you. You think you're still on the right path. You think you're just being more cautious. But in reality, you are slowly stepping away from the place I have called you to. Today, I did not come to accuse you. I came to expose that false thought and pull you back to the sacred thing I placed in your heart from the beginning. Don't leave. Stay with me until the end, because just one moment of awakening today could change the rest of your life forever. My beloved child, I see you. I see deep beneath the layers of masks you try to hold up every day. I see the smile you wear when you face others, but behind it I see a restless heart filled with questions you've never dared to speak out loud. And among everything you're dealing with, there is one thing no one sees, no one hears, but it has the power to change everything about you. A small thought, seemingly harmless, that is silently steering the course of your life. You don't know where it started. Maybe it came from something someone once said, a moment of rejection, a failure that shook your confidence. Or maybe it was just a passing thought in the stillness of the night. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe God will choose someone else, not me. And you didn't dwell on it. You thought it was just a moment of sadness. But what you didn't realize was, when that thought wasn't removed, it began to take root. Thoughts are like seeds. They don't need to be loud. They don't need lightning to make an impact. All they need is time. And once they take root, they grow. They branch out, spread leaves, provide shade, and you begin to dwell under the shadow of something that never came from me. You start to doubt, not doubting me, but doubting yourself, doubting my choice over your life. You still go to church, you still pray, you still sing praises, but in your mind, there's a whisper that keeps repeating, you were the wrong choice. And you don't resist it. You let it stay. You give it a seat at the table of your soul. My precious one, let me ask you this. How can you live out your purpose if, deep down, you've already agreed that you're not worthy of it? No one else sees it. They see you working hard. They see you serving. They see you obeying. But I see more. I see what you believe. I see that innermost place where every decision, every choice, every reaction is formed. And if that place is being shaped by a false belief, then sooner or later, your entire life will drift off course from the path I prepared for you. Do you know this, my child? Your enemy doesn't need to steal your health, your job, or your relationships to destroy your purpose. All he needs to do is plant a seed of doubt in your mind. Just one seed. And if you don't cast it out, it will grow into a tree that casts a shadow over the light I shine upon you. And from that point on, everything starts to shift. I've seen many like you. People who were once burning with passion, radiant in faith, but gradually they retreat quietly. They don't abandon me outright, they just begin to live smaller. They start choosing safety over obedience. They stop stepping out onto the waters because they believe miracles are for others, not for them. And the reason? Not because they don't love me, but because they believed something that never came from me. My child, maybe you think your thoughts are invisible, so they're not important. But the truth is, your thoughts are the map that guides every step you take. A person can have strong legs, a hungry heart, a spirit full of passion. But if the map they're following is flawed, they will get lost. And what's sad is, the further they go, the more convinced they become. Maybe I'm supposed to stay here. So they settle in a land that was never theirs, build a life on soil I never promised, just because they didn't realize that everything started with a single wrong thought. And what breaks my heart is not your failure, but that you don't even realize you're being controlled. You don't see the rope, but it's there. A thought of unworthiness that keeps you from stepping up. A thought of disappointment that silences your prayers. A thought that says, I'm not enough, that closes the door to the miracles I want to do through your life. Today, I didn't come to scold you. I came to open your eyes. I want you to look not at your outward actions, but at the root inside your heart. Ask yourself, what am I living by? What is silently shaping my choices every day? If it's not my truth, then you're off course. You don't have to be far gone to be lost. Just a small shift in thought, if left alone long enough, can lead to a completely different destination. But here's the good news: you can come back. You can recognize the false thought and replace it with the truth. I'm not asking you to try harder. I'm not demanding you to have stronger faith right away. I'm simply inviting you to take the first step. Look honestly at what you've been believing. Dare to ask, Lord, am I believing something that didn't come from you? And when you ask, I will answer. I will not leave you in the dark of false beliefs. I will shine my light. I will reveal. Because I love you too much to watch you be ruled by something I never said. Let me do that today, my beloved. Don't wait until everything falls apart. Don't wait until the confusion grows too big. Today, if you hear my voice, pause and reflect. Come back to the light you once knew. I am still here. Your purpose is not lost. Everything is simply waiting for you to clear your mind so you can see clearly again. And once you realize what you've been believing, I will show you how to take the next step. I will never leave you to walk that path alone. My beloved child, you often think that the biggest decisions in your life are what shape your destiny. But I tell you this truth: every detour does not begin with an outward action. It begins with an inner assumption that is wrong. Do you remember the very first story between mankind and sin? It didn't begin with violence. It didn't begin with open rebellion. It didn't begin with loud defiance. It all began with a whisper. Did God really say? Do you see it now? Just a single question, a small doubt, a misplaced question mark. And then an entire future was exchanged. The presence I once walked in the garden with, man, became something distant. Not because I turned away, but because they believed something that wasn't true about me. You're living in a world where the whispers still echo, but they no longer come in the form of a serpent. They come dressed as rational thoughts. Sometimes it sounds like the voice of reason. You should be more realistic. Maybe that calling is too big for you. You've made too many mistakes, not sure God would still choose you. It doesn't sound like sin, but it is a false assumption. And it's that very thing that pulls you away from the land I promised you. You don't need to outright reject my word. All it takes is for you to quietly believe that I'm no longer serious about the promise I gave you. And without realizing it, you'll begin to adjust the way you live. You'll start living below your calling. You'll start choosing the safe path instead of the path of faith. You'll begin to say, maybe it's not God's will, just because you no longer feel strong enough to keep going. But let me ask you, who told you that your calling was supposed to be easy? Who said you'd always feel strong? When I called you according to my vision, not your limitations. And I can see exactly where the limitation came from. It came from the quiet assumptions you've allowed to stay. You don't say them out loud, but you're living by them. You start avoiding open doors because you think you're no longer worthy. You reject the roles I give you because you believe someone else seems more qualified. You haven't rejected me, but deep down you've believed that I've changed my mind about you. My precious one, I don't change my mind. I am not like man, loving you one day and growing tired of you the next. The word I spoke over you, whether 10 years ago, whether when you were a child, I still hold that word intact. But if you no longer believe what I said, then you will stop living as if it were true. A false assumption quietly leads to a false lifestyle. You don't fall off track all at once, but step by step you begin to drift, and you don't even realize it. Until one day, you look around and ask yourself, how did I end up here? Why do I feel so distant? Why does everything feel meaningless? And I will tell you why. Not because you did something obviously wrong, but because you accepted something I never said as if it were true. And from that point on, everything changed direction. Do you remember the prophet Elijah? The one who stood against hundreds of false prophets, the one who prayed and fire came down from heaven? And yet, just one threat from Queen Jezebel, just one thought, I am the only one left, caused him to flee and ask me to take his life. That thought, I am the only one left, was a false assumption. I had 7,000 who had not bowed to Baal. But Elijah didn't see them, he believed his feelings, and because of that assumption, he gave up his assignment. Do you see it now? Even those closest to me can drift off course if they believe a lie. And you, my child, I'm not telling you this today to rebuke you. I'm reminding you that what you believe, even silently, guides your entire life. You cannot walk in the right direction if the map inside your mind is distorted by false thoughts. So today, pause. Ask yourself honestly, what am I living by? Are there assumptions I've accepted from the world, from failure, from others, that I've never truly brought before the Lord? If so, bring them into the light. Let me shine my word on them. I don't love you because you're strong. I love you even when you're weak, and I will strengthen in you what is weak. But the first thing you must do is stop agreeing with the lies. Don't let anything that didn't come from me have a voice in your mind any longer. Look back at what I've said about you. Remember what I promised. Return to your foundation, to the place where you don't live by how things feel, but by what is true. You don't need to feel right to live right. You only need to believe what is true, and I will guide you step by step. If today you've drifted a little, don't be afraid. I'm not far from you. I'm just waiting for you to adjust your focus. Recalibrate the compass of your heart. Let go of the assumptions you've held as truth. And then you'll see the light will return. The calling will return. The life will return. You haven't lost your purpose. You just need to return to the point where your thoughts started to go wrong. And yes, I myself will continue leading you to the place I've always destined for you. My beloved child, I want you to pause and take an honest look at yourself. Not to judge, not to shame, but to understand one very important truth. A thought is never just a thought. If you let an idea stay in your mind long enough, it will become a belief system. And if that belief isn't grounded in my truth, then sooner or later it becomes an invisible chain, keeping you stuck in a place I never intended for you to stay. I created you to soar like an eagle, but some eagles, after being caged with chickens for too long, forget that their wings were built for the wind and the sky. Not because they don't have wings, but because they've accepted a life as if they didn't. The same is true for you, my child. Maybe you no longer dare to dream big. You no longer dare to believe in the extraordinary. You no longer dare to step out of your comfort zone. But the reason isn't your circumstances. The reason is a thought that has been ruling your mind, whispering over and over, don't take risks, don't believe too much, don't expect anything. Let me tell you a story. In the state of Arizona, there was a young man named Ethan. He grew up in a Christian family and deeply loved me from a young age. He went to church every week, joined Bible study groups, and even served in the worship team for a while. He once dreamed of becoming a missionary, someone who would bring my word to unreached places. But at the age of 23, Ethan was rejected from a theological program. The reason? A missing personal essay that didn't meet their guidelines. A small mistake, but it was a hard blow to Ethan's already fragile confidence. He began thinking, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe God didn't really call me. And from that moment on, a small thought began to grow in his heart, like a seed taking root. Ethan didn't leave the faith, but he started turning down opportunities to serve. He still went to church, but he no longer stepped up. He avoided deep conversations about my word because deep inside, he had come to believe, I'm not worthy to speak about God like I used to. Years later, Ethan was working a stable office job, living a quiet life, but with a lingering emptiness inside. One night at a prayer meeting, a friend came up to him and asked, "Why don't you share anymore, Ethan? You used to inspire all of us." Ethan smiled, but something inside him twisted, because he knew it wasn't a great failure that had stopped him, it was a wrong belief he never confronted. A thought that said, I failed once. That means I no longer qualify for what God once called me to do. That thought was never challenged, never exposed to my word, and over time, it became Ethan's silent truth, the hidden belief shaping every choice. Do you see it now, my beloved? When you don't confront a false belief, it doesn't stay dormant. It replaces truth. It redefines your worth, it distorts your purpose, and eventually it rewrites your life, not with ink, but with quiet, unnoticed decisions. The greatest danger isn't when you rebel loudly, it's when you live comfortably in misalignment. When you no longer see anything wrong because the false thought has become your new normal. When you no longer feel the need to change because you've accepted it as just the way things are. What breaks my heart is not your mistakes, but that you've forgotten who you really are. I made you in my image. That means you have the capacity to create, to love, to heal, to illuminate the space you're in. But if a thought is binding you, a fear of rejection, a feeling of not being good enough, a label that says you've messed up too much, then that thought is stealing everything I want to give you. I didn't put those limits on you. The world did. People did. Pain did. Old experiences did. They labeled you wrongly. And one day, you started believing those labels as if they were your true identity. But hear me now. When you live by something I never said, you are living as someone you were never meant to be. My child, I didn't come today to blame you for believing wrong. I came to lead you back to the truth. I want you to reclaim your power to choose. Choose what I said over what the world assigned to you. Choose truth over feeling. Choose faith over pain. Ethan, the young man from the story, he came back, not because of a dramatic encounter, but because one day, while reading scripture, the verse God's gifts and his call are irrevocable, Romans 29, pierced his heart like light breaking through the dark. He cried. He realized he had spent years living by a belief that wasn't even real. And that day, he decided, I won't spend one more day ignoring what God once called me to do. Ethan's story could just as easily be yours. I know you've been hurt, you've stumbled, others may have spoken down to you, you may have condemned yourself. But hear me, there is no failure strong enough to destroy what I planted in you before you were born. No accusation, whether from others or from your own voice, can cancel what I destined for your life. The issue isn't that you're no longer called. The issue is that you've believed something that caused you to stop moving forward. But today, I'm inviting you to look again. Have those whispers lived too long inside you? Have you given space to a lie and let it become your truth? If that's true, don't be afraid. Bring it into the light, because light always wins over darkness. One moment of recognition and one word of truth is enough to restart the journey you thought was lost. I don't need you to redo everything. I just need you to choose again what you believe. When you believe rightly, you'll live rightly. And as you live in truth, what I destined will begin to be restored, not by your strength, but by my grace. So my beloved child, don't let a false thought become your life's belief. Don't let the world's words replace mine. Don't let past mistakes or someone else's opinion decide the future I've carefully designed for you. Only I get to define who you are. And I say, you are chosen. You are called according to purpose. You are the salt of the earth, the light of the world. You are the one who carries my kingdom into the places you live. And if today you're willing to step out of those false beliefs, I will take your hand and lead you further than you ever dared to dream. My beloved child, I know you've heard a lot from me today. Maybe your heart feels overwhelmed. Maybe you're rethinking your entire journey. Maybe you're facing questions you've never dared to say out loud before. And I say this to you. That's a good sign. Because you're awakening. Awakening isn't a fiery emotion in a single moment. It's the moment when you begin to see clearly what you never noticed before. It's when you realize it's not that you didn't try, but that your feet were walking on a path that drifted off course because of a thought that was wrong from the very beginning. You don't need to turn back time. You don't need to go all the way back to the starting line. You just need to come back to me in your mind. Because it's from that place, the place of thoughts, the place of motives, the place of perception, that everything in your life begins. If you let me correct your vision there, you will move forward. Not as someone starting over, but as someone continuing in the right direction with new strength. I know you've said, Lord, I'm tired. I'm not sure I have the courage to start over. And today I say to you, you don't have to start over, you just have to return. Return to the truth. Return to the light. Return to the voice I first whispered into your heart when you were still a child. Return to that original dream, but this time not in your strength, but with my grace and my guidance. My child, I have never let go of you. Even when you fell, I was there. Even when you wandered, I was watching. Not a single step of yours has ever gone unnoticed by me. And today, if you hear my voice, if you feel your heart stirring, it's because I am calling you back to what truly belongs to you. Don't let your past tell you who you are. Don't let your mistakes define your future. You are not who your circumstances tried to make you into. You are the one I called out of darkness, the one I have prepared for a special mission, a mission that no one else can fulfill but you. You ask, but haven't I missed too many chances? I answer, I am the restorer of time. What you thought was lost, I can restore with a brand new season, a season of connection, fresh oil, and fullness of life. You ask, how will I know I'm on the right path? I answer, let me be the compass of your mind. Don't rely on your feelings. Place your trust in my word. You ask, am I still worthy? I answer, it's precisely because you're unworthy that grace becomes a miracle. I didn't choose you because you were perfect. I chose you because I love you. And that love will be the strength that carries you forward, every day, every step, every decision. My child, you may have heard many sermons, many pieces of advice, many theories about purpose. But today, I didn't come to teach you a lesson. I came to awaken you from a long sleep, a sleep you didn't even know you were in, the sleep of a false thought, a quiet compromise, a life that seems stable but not truly alive. And now is the time to wake up. Not by your own strength, but by awakening from within. Let me lift you up. Let me tear off the veil that has covered your eyes for too long. Let me bring you back to the old path, the one where you once radiated with joy, knowing you were living in my will. Do you remember when Peter denied me? He wept bitterly. He thought it was over. But when I came to him, I didn't ask, why did you betray me? I asked, do you love me? I didn't want an explanation. I wanted real love. And when he answered, I didn't say, let's start from scratch. I said, feed my sheep. What did that mean? It meant, we're not starting over. We're continuing, but this time without doubt. The same is true for you. If you return to me today, you don't have to prove anything. You only need to say, Lord, I believe. And I will place back into your hands the role you thought you had lost. Nothing is ever truly lost when it's placed back in my hands. And from this day on, I want you to hold this truth in your heart. Every time a thought sneaks into your mind, whispering that you're not enough, that you've failed, that it's too late, I want you to respond like this. I know who I am. I was made in the image of Christ. I was chosen before the foundation of the world, and I am living for a purpose no one else but I can fulfill. That's the declaration you must speak over yourself every day. That is how you hold on to the light in your mind in a world filled with noise. That is how you return to the right path, without needing to start from the beginning. My beloved, if today you rise, if today you choose to let go of the false beliefs you've held for too long, I promise you this. You will see me move again in your life, clearly, powerfully, undeniably. Because I didn't just come to save you from sin, I came to lead you back to your true meaning for living. Are you ready to walk with me? If so, speak to me now, in your words, with your heart. I am listening, and I will never let you walk alone. My precious child, not everything you think comes from me, and not every silence is true peace. There are things you've allowed to remain in your mind for far too long. Quiet thoughts, yet full of power, that have caused you to live smaller than what I intended for you. But today I invite you to step out of that fog. Step out of the false definition of yourself. Step out from the shadow of the past, from guilt, from fear. I don't love you because you are perfect. I love you because I chose you. And I still hold to the original promise. That purpose is still intact. That light is still waiting for you. If today you're willing to remove the thoughts that have clouded your vision, I promise to take your hand and lead you forward, stronger, clearer, and more aligned than ever before. And you will know this. It is never too late to return to your true purpose. Because I myself, am the restorer of direction for those who thought they were lost.